What is up, jabronis? JJ back here from Run Pure Bets, talking a little MLB. Yeah, 10 minutes late here. I'll say this much. It's like 11:32. Was ready to fire the show up, and then so this thing kind of started to hit, right? I'd love to lie to you guys and say, I was stuck watching a show, or I was stuck, having a conversation with my wife. But the truth of the matter is, when nature calls, that was a wild trip too. I won't go into the graphics, but it was a lot. It was a knee buckler. That's for sure. That's for sure. But needless to say, we're here. We're here. We're back. Nice to cash the under yesterday, despite some late turbulence and early turbulence, I guess, right? But it was nice to cash that bet. But needless to say, we move on, right? Just one bet. Got a nice slate today. Yeah, definitely a blue pill kind of guy. Definitely. What's up, Mike? What's up, Nathan? Chachu. So yeah, looking forward to this slate. Should be a decent one. Overall, at least today, like we got 3 1 o'clocks, 2 o'clock, a few 4 o'clocks. At least like this is a better format. Like I just don't understand why the MLB is doing this thing where they put like one game at 1, one game at 3, and then a bunch at 7. This format's a little better. You get a bunch of action early on, and it's really how it should be set up on a weekly basis. But without further ado, I've already delayed you folks enough, so we'll just go right into it, right? Yanks Blue Jays, Garrett Cole, and Mitch White. So I think I said this before. I don't really trust White outside of a Dodgers uniform. I feel like he's gonna have to regress. Now, granted, I wouldn't say he's like regressed yet, but he's definitely been barely pitching mid, if you will. He's got like 9 innings under him, something like that, and 4 earned. So he hasn't been great, but he hasn't been bad. I will say this: like the Yankees have the yips, right? So it's kind of tough to love betting them at any type of egregious price. Now, this is Garrett Cole, so we have that going for us there. But man, like this team can't get out of their own way. But it's like I say, right? Like this is the time of year to play bad baseball, in my opinion, because the sport ebbs and flows. You don't want to be playing bad in September, especially late September, as you head into the playoffs. Like if you had to pick a time of year to play poorly, this isn't a terrible time of year, all things considered. So no frets for me. I'm like I said, I'm not really a Yankee fan, but I'm not really concerned about this team. I know that they're in the quite a bit of a streak here. But again, they're missing Stanton. Carpenter goes in the DL, and Carpenter was a huge lift for this team. They've lost a lot of one-run games recently as well. But man, like this price feels a little thick, right, for a team really struggling. But I'd make the other argument that it's a cheap price for a guy like Garrett Cole. So take it as you will. I don't like either side of this because, again, for me, you argue both. I'll tell you this. Hold on before I go in. There's Piter. Where's the white cap? Oh, I mean, the hat looked white, right? I mean, it wasn't like a shocker that it flips over and it's the same color, right? I know, crazy. What's up, Leroy? River Rat. The cash nats money on the past couple days. Can't help but get back to you. Yeah, don't mind it at all, Jordan. Don't mind it at all. Keep crushing. Yeah, so in this game specifically, I could argue for both ends here. I could argue it's a cheap price for Cole, all things considered. But I could also argue it's a thick price for the Yankees, all things considered, with how they're playing. So I don't like any piece of this game. So either way, we'll just move on to the next one. The Phillies Mets. So the Mets want to speak about turbulence. They've had a little bit of airplane turbulence recently. They get stuck. Was it them or the Phillies that got stuck on a late game and then a red eye with an early game and then a doubleheader today? I think it's them that were complaining about it. I could be wrong. But this team now has a doubleheader today. After a late flight yesterday and or the day before. And so here, look, Zach Wheeler. So I'll be honest. I bet Nola yesterday. I thought the little bit of jet lag would catch up to the Mets. And especially, I actually even thought they would sit a few guys because of the doubleheader today. They really did not. They really played basically an opening day lineup yesterday. Here, though, as you guys know, I don't really like doubleheaders to begin with. But, all things considered, what's his name? Wheeler is in a good spot. But look, so was Nola yesterday. And I look at this lineup here, and it's like, again, the Mets are running out everybody again. I guess Michael Perez would be the guy that's the lone man out. But the Mets are trying to stack a bunch of lefties against Wheeler, who's just been so dominant against righties. So, I don't like any piece of this game. If I had to make a decision, I would lay the first 5 with the Phils, but I don't love it because the Mets put out a good lineup today, and the Phillies aren't hitting at all. So, it does. It's a little added friction, if you will. But to me, right now, the Phillies are in the middle of a spur, much like the Yankees are. And obviously, the Phillies are much worse than the Yankees, but like they're not hitting at all. The only games they've been winning recently because of pitching. I think they've been shut out in like 4 of their last 7 games or something like that. So, a team that's really not hitting, it makes it tough. This total is 8.5. I could see both ends of that over under. It's very warm today in Philly. You're going to get some carry. But needless to say, Phillies aren't hitting, which keeps me away from Philly. And the Mets, to me, have to be dealing with some flavor of fatigue legs. And I'll be honest, I'm not a game 2 doubleheader guy, but I don't even know who the hell the Mets are going to put in that lineup later. Either they're going to sit people in this one or they're going to sit people tomorrow, because this is a lot of games in a short window for a team. And so I'd expect at least somebody to be getting days off, but like they just keep running out their big studs in every lineup, which to me I find kind of crazy. But either way, this is another game where I just don't see anything crazy. So I'll pass as well. The next one up, so you have Angels. Is it Angels, right? Angels, Tigers. This is an early one for the Angels. Reed Detmers has been good, but, it's tough to say because the data surface level looks all right. The advanced stuff doesn't look as good. But look, the Angels got Trout back, right? And Taylor Ward's now back into the middle of the lineup. They don't have everybody back. Obviously, Rendon's still out. But this lineup looks a little more respectable. And remember, they traded, Walsh to Philly. Not Walsh. What's his name? Marsh to Philly. But still, like, this lineup looks okay. And again, they've always been a team that mashes lefties. I'm surprised at the Ohtani leading off piece. That's just odd to me against a lefty, especially like Rengifo would have made. Anyway, but Tyler Alexander's not a big guy. Not a guy I'm a huge fan of either. A bit, fortunate with his current ERA. You'd figure the Angels will take advantage, but man, laying 165 with the Angels just seems so rough. But again, they do have Trout back, which helps, or have had Trout back a bit, and they've been playing a little bit of better baseball recently. Maybe called the spark of him coming back, but they've been losing games. But I mean, when I say they've been playing better, they've been at least hitting, which hasn't been something they've been doing. But they do come off of, I think they got swept by the M's. But they before that series they won like 5 of 6 or 7 of 8, something like that. So as for me, I can't lay this price with the Angels for a few different reasons. But with all that said, as far as the total goes, it's tough not to like this over. I don't love it though, because the Angels just at times can't get out of their own way, and the Tigers lineup, to expect them to get us runs is not exactly ideal either. But I do lean this over at 7.5. Decently warm in Detroit, not super warm, but warm enough. And this park does play big at times, but again, you got a pretty decent lineup from the Angels, a decent lineup from the Tigers. It's a low number with 2 pitchers who are a bit susceptible, who have been a bit fortunate. So I'll call it a slight lean on the over at that number. All right, let's move on. Cubs, Brewers, Marcus Stroman, Freddie Peralta. Wow, it's interesting, right? I assume a lot of people are going to be on the Brews here. It's a small line. You get a great arm in Peralta. Marcus Stroman's been good, though. I continue to say, I'm surprised he wasn't dealt at the deadline. I know his record doesn't show up, but he pitches for a bad team. I thought he's pitched relatively well this year, and I've never been a Stroman guy. I just don't think he strikes anybody out, and he typically walks more guys than he should. He has control issues, and when he doesn't keep the ball down, it tends to become a bit of a home run fest. But I will stay away from this one. To me, look, I'd have this like 128, 120, 129 in that area, anywhere between 25 and 130. in favor of the Brewers. But to me, it's just not enough. I don't. The Cubs have been playing decent baseball. I know that they're one of the bad teams, obviously, but they've been playing. They play competitive. They put out a decent lineup almost every day. And there's a decent lineup out there today as well. And look, I know Milwaukee needs to win games, but this number to me is probably close enough to right. Maybe slightly on Milwaukee, but I don't love it by any means. Peralta hasn't been exactly himself, so makes it kind of tough on a few different counts. So yeah, anyway, another pass. As far as the total goes, it's Wrigley. So with a total of 9 here, I'd assume we're getting some wind out because it's not super warm there. There's a chance of rain as well, so that's in the mix, which could hinder the starting pitching thing. But either way, I will stay away from this game as well. O's Red Sox. What a fun game yesterday, right? Ton of runs, ton of hits. Orioles. I don't even did Orioles win. I know Red Sox came back. There was like 20 runs before the 5th inning in that game. Let me see. I don't even know. You guys know who won the game yesterday? I just know it was like super back and forth. It ended up 15-10. That's wild. Yeah. So obviously a lot of potency from the sticks. I will say this: when you see that type of output runs wise, I don't love the idea of. I just don't love the idea of going back to the sticks in terms of an over. It just feels like, for you to score that many runs, a lot of things have to break right. And, so I'm not somebody that's going right back to the over well here. And again, this is a big park. But all things considered, Bradish has been okay. Waka just continues to impress. Like, I don't like him at all. He typically struggles with righties, which is odd, right? Because he's a righty. But man, he's kind of found himself. He's doing nothing differently than he's done in years past, where he's had a blown up ERA. So I guess it's got to be a location thing. Bradish is not nearly as bad as his ERA shows. Obviously he hasn't been great, but in any stretch of the imagination, the sample size is growing large and alarming. But at the end of the day, it's I don't think he's been as bad. I think he's been a little misfortunate. They look at this line, and I think the Sox are favored. But look, we know the O's can hit guys that struggle with righties, and Waka is certainly one of those guys. Trying to think. Yeah, I'm just looking here. No, my numbers don't line up on this game with anything favorable. I think you could. I don't think it's going to hurt you to go O's here as a small dog. But again, Waka's been good, and Bradish has been a bit misfortunate. But we're going to predict that misfortune is going to stop today. I don't know about that, so I'll stay away. Rays Royals. So I think it was Bobby Witt that got to McClanahan yesterday with a deep ball. Rasmussen, it's crazy. Like, I thought this dude was a fish. Like kind of like a gas can a bit. He's kind of really cleaned himself up recently. He's been really good. I can't really hate on it. Bubic is just another like a lefty that has a lot of upside, but just doesn't put it all together. So it makes it tough in a few counts to like anything in this game because you have a fat line here with Tampa, which to me Tampa probably should be a little smaller here. But that has more to do with a little bit of a negative bias for me with Rasmussen. Look, Bubic is in a decent spot today. The Rays are just quietly hanging around, right? Like they always do. And it, I think overall it makes sense why this line is this big. But think about it. McClanahan was a little bigger than this, in a much better spot yesterday. And I know it was a close game late. I'm not sure who won. To me, it's irrelevant. Total 7, which makes sense, right? Called a slight lean for me, the over 7. But I don't love anything in money line here. Again, to me, Tampa's a little too big, but I'm not looking to jump on the Royals in this spot. So we'll just move on. So Guardians White Sox. Yesterday obviously was nice with a little bit of turbulence to get that under home. But that could have went a bunch of different directions, right? But I need to say it was all right. Happy to take the win. We have here Shane Bieber, Johnny Cueto. Bieber's had an okay year, right? And it just shows you how dominant he was, right? That we consider this year for him okay. He's 8-6, 3.18. Advanced stuff has him a little higher, but nothing crazy. Cueto, was he everything the White Sox asked for, right? The guy eats innings. The guy gets himself out of jams, and he's just a smart pitcher. There's just nothing else. Like he doesn't have good stuff, so he's just a smart pitcher. He's a great spot hitter. in the mitt, and kudos to him for him putting together a decent season here out of nowhere. So maybe some value on the Sox here, who have been finding their stride. I just worry with their injuries they've had with their sticks. Now, I don't know if Luis Robert was he in the lineup yesterday? I didn't see him in the lineup yesterday. So I'm not sure if he's back yet. Obviously, Anderson's still going to be out. Luis Robert might be back today though, because I know Friday might have seemed a bit aggressive, but this seemed like it would have been. This seemed like it could have been a decent spot for him to come back. Bieber's been good, but man, does he deserve a 200 line? I don't know. The Guardians also used all their best pen arms yesterday, and their closer, what's his name? Emmanuel something. Man, that dude's good. Like, he doesn't have like the strikeout type stuff, but man, it's like, he comes in, it's as close to a game over as exists in MLB. Yeah, that dude's so good. Pirates, Reds, we'll just move on. So was this Justin Dunn, right? Tyler Beatty. Wolf, Dunn's been bad. I mean, Dunn's sample size is so small. He's been bad, but it's hard to rationalize the exacts from him, because he does have some decent upside, right? But obviously not the best showing early on from him. But look, the Reds are in a spot where they're going to bring up some of these kids and see what they got. As for Tyler Beatty, I like him. Like, he's a decent arm. He has a decent AAA pedigree or farm system pedigree, if you will. Does this kid deserve a -150 line? I don't know about that. But needless to say, Dunn's been tough. And when you take a pitcher coming up who's unconfident, it's not going to help. Now he's going to face a Pirates lineup today. It's watered down, of course. Same with the Reds, though. Like, you look at a total here, 8.5 with two arms that are susceptible, and you might be thinking like, oh, well, I'll just bet this over, but you're not going to get good lineups here. I think that's one of the mistakes I've made this year, right? Like, I love to target either good pitchers regressing or bad pitchers throwing really well and then fading them, kind of due for that regression. But, I kind of underestimate the importance of lineups at times betting the sport. And, these two lineups aren't exactly going to be run producing lineups today. So, take that for what it's worth, but we'll just move on. Okay. So a game I did bet, Braves Astros. So Spencer Strider, Christian Javier. I bet Astros team total over 3 here. It's -115 FanDuel. I don't know if it's still there. I know it was there early this morning. Let me just check, because I don't want to give you guys numbers that don't exist. Because if you bet at DraftKings, you're going to have to take 3.5. If you bet at DraftKings, you're going to have to take 3.5 at dog money. So that's a big difference, right? So let me see. I just want to see, because again, you guys know me. I don't like giving you out numbers that don't exist. But based on the lines I'm seeing, this number actually might be better. I think this line's moved a bit in favor of the Braves. Let me see. So Astros, it's 3 -120. It's extra 5 cents. All right, so 2.5 -150. Wow. Well, I'll tell you this: FanDuel's 3 -120. I don't touch the 2.5. I don't touch the -150 stuff, but man, like it's 2.5 150 seems fantastic, to be honest. All right, so let me just put this in here, and I'll talk on why I like it. So Astros versus Braves. Astros team total over 3 -120, and that's FanDuel. So here's the thing: Spencer Strider's fantastic, right? Huge K guy, a lot of upside. Here's my problem: he walks a lot of guys, right? And at times he can give up a tremendous amount of hard contact. You make mistakes to this Astros team, who lost the game yesterday that I'm sure they weren't thrilled with. They're going to make you pay. You're getting an 80-degree game in Atlanta with humidity. Ball's going to carry a bit. I think we saw a few balls leave the yard yesterday in a better pitching matchup. Well, I wouldn't consider that a better pitching matchup, actually, but you saw a few balls leave the yard yesterday. I think you're going to see a few more today leave the yard. And again, Strider's been good. And I love the fact that one game against the Mets where he basically said they got lucky with their runs scored. I thought that was fantastic with the one dribbler that bounced over third base and whatever. But Strider's going to be good. He's going to be one of the better pitchers in baseball. Give him some time. He certainly will be. I just think he's susceptible here. This is a juicy Astros lineup. He has at times struggled with better lineups. He definitely destroys. He definitely makes bad teams look silly. But it's been quite the opposite for him in the other areas. And to ask the Astros to get you 3 runs for a push and 4 for a win, I don't think is asking much. So yeah, well, that's where I fired. It was minus 115. Now it's minus 120. I don't think it's going to see much movement. Strider does take money, and Javier's been great, but again, Strider does take money, and I don't know how much over money is going to come in on this game anyway. So maybe you could wait to see if it bumps back down. But needless to say, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Now I will say this, Bill. I'm referencing the start. Yeah, well, maybe you're referencing the same thing because he had the start where he gave up 4 earned, which a little bit of it seemed fluky. And then yes, you're right. In the following start, he did kind of mow him down. He looked really good. All right, so we will move on. And again, the reason I don't want to bet the Astros here is because Javier, he's typically better at home, and this Braves lineup will challenge anybody. So yeah, I have a little bit of concern there. But needless to say, we'll just move on. Phillies Mets game 2. Won't talk much on it outside of the fact that I would expect a Mets watered down lineup. So keep your eye on for that. Falter is not a great pitcher by any means, but if the Mets go watered down here, there might be some value on the Phils. Athletics Mariners, Kaprelian versus Gilbert. Gilbert's been great, right? I mean, what negatively can we say too much about Gilbert? He's been pitching well, and the Mariners are holding off that big streak after the All-Star break. They're still 12 games over. They're still potentially playoff bound. The Athletics are going the opposite direction, right? But Kaprelian's been a lone bright spot for this starting staff. See a total here at 7.5, and it's not going to be warm at all. It's going to be actually quite breezy, chilly, if you will, 55. Lean under. Don't love it. Don't love it because the Mariners have definitely run upside, and Gilbert is often not the same pitcher away from the stadium. And I know I say that often about a lot of pitchers, but it's just facts. Like some guys just are different arms away from their habitat, and he's kind of one of them. Kaprelian's better at home. Kaprelian's been good, but I will overall stay away from this spot. As to me, again, it's nice to see the M's playing well. They've kind of been playing, I guess, a bit of back and forth baseball recently, but this team, I don't think they have a starting pitching to compete in the playoffs, but they definitely have live sticks and they definitely have a decent pen, and so we'll see where it goes from there. But either way, we'll move on. Rockies, Giants, Feltner, Cobb. For me, so Alex Cobb, it's hard to love him right in this spot because the Rockies always seem to pour runs in at home. And I know it's the thin air, but they seem to be so consistent at home. They did it yesterday, right? They piled up runs. And it's so crazy at the Giants. It's hard to say, like, was the Giants last year run? Was it a complete facade? Because the team's pretty similar to last year, and they are a shell of themselves. But hitting wise, good spot for their bats as well. Feltner's tough to watch. I know he threw decently well, I think, against the Cardinals a few starts ago in Coors, but man, like, he's just a tough to watch pitcher. But look, any chance you can get, to me, I would lean here. Rockies team total over. It's probably 4.5. I don't have it in front of me, but you could probably get this because I'm trying to think if it would be Niners. The Giants should win this by 1. Yeah, the total should be like 4.5, like minus 120. Their team total. So you're talking a team that averages, like, I think over 5.5 runs per game at home, and it's not like Cobb is like this super filthy arm. So let me just confirm it. Yeah, because the under's getting money here. And I'm wondering, I just want to see what that number is. Based on the line, it should be 4.5, 120. Yeah, so it's 4.5, 108. It's even better. I guess that's because the under's steam on the full game. So yeah, I mean, for me, slight lean on the over Rockies, and that has more to do with the fact that this team just fucks at home. They just do. It seems like every start, their bats are live. And granted, they are dealing with some oddness with their lineup recently. I think they're having a few more injuries, and they do have a bit of a black hole in the middle to the bottom nowadays. But again, you get them against a susceptible pitcher at home. Yeah, 4.5 seems kind of juicy. I just, it is. I don't like betting, and I say this. I always exclude Coors from it. I just don't like betting bad teams to get over 4.5 runs. Unless the spot, like, to me, is such a slam dunk. I don't consider this a slam dunk spot, but I do like that number 4.5 if you want to bet it. Call it a strong lean. Diamondbacks, Cards. It's going to be my other best bet of the show. I bet the Diamondbacks first 5 plus a half run, minus 110 FanDuel. Let me just see what this number currently is. And I know I hate to sound like a FanDuel slappy, but they just have better numbers today on the games I like than DraftKings. First 5. Imagine me being this slow navigating a sports book. Holy shit. Okay, so that's a bit of a problem. All right, so FanDuel's now 132. So hold on, let me look at DraftKings. That's crazy because the full line is still 165. Like the first five line didn't move. I mean, the first five, the full game line didn't move. That's absolutely asinine. All right, hold on. I mean, granted, look, I obviously it's not like I don't expect lines to move, shortly after I bet them or the Run Pure Bets crew bets them, but I mean that's a lot. That's a 22 cents of movement from 2.5 hours ago. Let me look at Jesus, and even DraftKings 135. All right. Well, look, I hate to give you guys a bad number, but this is what I bet. So what I'll do for this show is I will split it down the middle because I do like Diamondbacks. I think Diamondbacks are super live to be winning after 5 innings here. So I will split this down the middle for this show to avoid us paying a ton of big. So we will do Diamondbacks money line, first 5 money line, and Diamondbacks first 5 plus 0.5 runs. That one is minus 132 FanDuel. And where's DraftKings money line? So it's plus 105 DraftKings. How does that even make any sense? That's crazy. All right, so we'll go first 5 money line DraftKings plus 105, and Diamondbacks first 5 plus half run minus 132 FanDuel. So the reason why I like this is to me it's fairly obvious. You guys should know me by now. Dakota Hudson, I fade him at home. I back him on the road, whether it's through totals, whether it's through the Cardinals in general. He is just a different animal pitching away from home. And he look, I'll be honest, I'm a Dakota Hudson guy. Like I like him. And he's not the type of pitcher I normally like because he doesn't strike anybody out. He walks more guys than he should, but the dude just like wiggles himself out of jams. He's got, dare I say, moxie. Madison Bumgarner is another guy I was surprised wasn't dealt at the deadline. But still a decent arm, and it is a little worrisome, right? You throw a lefty at the Cardinals, but Bumgarner's been decent. And overall, I just like the spot. I want to make sure I'm still getting my numbers right here. Yeah. So, I just like the spot. I think that it wouldn't surprise me at all. You see, first, so that's interesting, Best Pie Eater. So grab 120 on that plus a half run at BetMGM, guys. If you were betting it or haven't bet it already, that's interesting because BetMGM normally has the best laying the half run first 5s versus actually grabbing it. So love to see that actually. Good stuff, Pie Eater. But yeah, look, Bumgarner. You want to talk about pitchers that have nothing to lose going out there on a daily basis. I think this guy's trying to find something that he has left in him, right? He's not the same pitcher he once was, but he's still a smart pitcher. And look, he's been absolutely railed like 4 or 5 starts in a row. These are the types of arms I like to back in these spots. We call it progress to the mean. I didn't jump on any of his recent starts where he's been getting blown up. Maybe he's injured. Maybe I'm jumping in at the wrong time. But this is how I always bet this sport. I like betting guys progressing to the mean or the opportunity, to progress to the mean. And maybe maybe the over was a better play. But at the current number that I got at this morning, I liked it a lot better than the over at the minus 110 number, grabbing that half run because Dakota Hudson is a bit of a gas can away from home. Diamondbacks Park can be forgiving because they'll likely close the roof in hot weather. But again, it's also a high total for this park. This park's forgiving. So anyway, like the spot Bumgarner, like spot grabbing the half run. I think he can outduel Dakota here, so that's where I bet. All right, 2 games left. Padres Nationals, Joe Musgrove, Josiah Gray. Fat line here, but well deserved. Musgrove is an animal at home. His numbers might not show it this year. They probably do a little bit. But he is a great home road splits pitcher. Same with Blake Snell. And look, we know what Musgrove's deal is, right? Musgrove is looking for you to bite out of the zone. He has a tremendous amount of spin rate on a lot of his pitches, and he has struggled locating them as well. But again, if he's getting swings and misses outside the zone, he's going to look like a really good pitcher in most starts. The Nationals have the lineup these days that it's just a bunch of free swingers, and they've been winning. Obviously, they've been actually playing decent ball, but I think it's a big ask for them. I know it's 320, but to me, believe it or not, I think this line should be bigger. Musgrove is a really good pitcher at home, and Josiah Gray can be a bit erratic at times. So I will stay away from this game. I don't like the over or the under because I do believe while Musgrove could throw well here, if the Nationals are disciplined, they will get to him a bit. And Josiah Gray, to me, is just in an awful spot pitching-wise. His Padres lineup doesn't let up, and Josiah Gray typically struggles with good bats. So, yeah, easy pass. Dodgers, Marlins. So Dustin May in his return back, in his return back is a minus 300 favorite against the Marlins. But it doesn't surprise, right? This dude was pretty good last year. Very good for them, actually. They kind of used him as a glorified relief pitcher a bit. Nice Chachu, love that. I don't like handicapping the idea of pitchers on returns from injury, or I just you could look at their what they did in the farm system or what they did coming up to rehab, but I don't think it matters. So for me, it's just an easy pass spot for me with regards to May. Garrett's been good, but this is a tough ask for him, right? I do believe he's a left-hander, right? It always worries me, lefty at this lineup. I know that righties are just as bad versus this team, right? Because they with the lefty pop they have with Freeman, Muncy, but like the righties are so much better on this Dodgers team. You look up and down this lineup. This team is just built to match left-handed pitching. So yeah, fat line, but I will easily stay away. As for the total, I think there's a lot of volatility in this number either way. So just much like the game before with the Padres, easy stay away. So yeah, that wraps it up. I bet 2 games today, as mentioned. Stroh's team total over 3, FanDuel minus 120. And we split the Diamondbacks line because I want to make sure that I can get you guys a lines that actually exist. And it's good to know that between Chachu and Pieter, they found you guys 120 on BetMGM. And then I don't know where Chachu got the 115 number, but I'll tell you what, maybe BetMGM has a better number too for the plus money. So I'll peek that real quick before I let you guys go. Let me see here, or maybe Pieter, maybe you could tell us what that money line is. I know. You know what's funny? Pieter? I looked. Fucking Rom is fucking up today, and not in a bad way. Yeah. What are we at? Let me pull up the scores real quick while I got you guys. Oh, it's plus 115 MGM. So guys, look, use that as your barometer. If you didn't fire yet, use the BetMGM numbers for the D-backs. You might see some pullback actually, because I gotta figure people are gonna want to bet the Cards at these short prices. So you might get some callback on those numbers, but maybe you could wait. But plus 115 is pretty juicy. That's around. I mean, look, think about it. I didn't get it much worse than that. Where's our boy Rom at? Let me see. Where is our boy Rom at? Rom 4 under, 5 under for the day. Oh man, he hasn't. Oh, did he blow this? Oh, he had 16 feet for birdie. That's not crazy. I'll tell you this though. It is nice to see Rom kind of snap. It is nice to see Rom kind of snap out of this. But I'll tell you this, he's going to have to birdie probably 2 of the next 3 holes to be any sort of live on Sunday, because you got to figure with the way Scotty's playing and Cam Young's playing, I'd expect Adam Scott to regress a bit, even Connors, but Spieth can go birdie hunting. Like it's very likely that at the end of today, the leader's probably going to be like minus 10, minus 11, minus 12, somewhere in there. And if Rom's not up to 7 under, that is a big. If Rom's not up to 6 under, at least that is a big ask of him on a Sunday to come back and win this. So yeah, either way, it's nice to see him kind of find himself live though. Yeah, River Rat, we'll be back tomorrow. Me, Joey, and Holden running down the slate. So definitely expect that. But it will likely be on the DFS show, River Rat. I don't know if you the DFS channel. I don't know if you follow that channel. Last week we were on that channel, River. So it's just Run Pure Sports. Obviously, it's Run Pure Bets. I would follow that channel because I do believe the show tomorrow is going to be there. Nathan, love you, man. Glad you popped in, and good luck to us. Chachu, thoughts on Yankees? Jay's first 5 under. I cannot mind that, Chachu, but it's a tough spot to me overall, because I do think, well, first of all, it makes sense, right? If we think Cole's going to pitch pretty well and the Yankees aren't hitting, so I don't mind it, Chachu, but I honestly I don't love it. You get 2 decent lineups, early slate, warm weather. Actually, it's in Toronto. No, it's in New York. Yeah, so it's a stay away from me. Lean under, stay away from me though. What was I gonna say? Yeah, but that wraps it up, folks. Thanks for joining in. Obviously, always love you guys communicating back and forth. Sorry I was 10 minutes late again. The bowels. But look, I hope you enjoy your Saturdays, family, friends, gambling, whatever you're doing. But as always, stay safe, gamble responsibly, and as always, Run Pure. See you guys tomorrow with Joey and Holden on the Run Pure Sports channel, 12 o'clock.